Hey, Wixman Ray here. Sorry for the echo in here. My room's, I guess, doesn't have good acoustics. Anyways, hey, today's Saturday, March 7th, 2026. Pretty active weather for the eastern half of the country. The west is fairly quiet now and will be that way for the most part. So we're looking at our satellite here, our RGB satellite. Out west, we got some lower clouds out in the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of lower cloud out in Idaho and Montana through the northern Rockies, and then this the orange looking stuff here is just some high clouds um, coming spilling over. And then there's a little weak disturbance coming out of Canada into North Dakota. Not much weather with that, just some cloud cover. But this is the big weather maker here. This is our cold front here that's stretching from, you know, New York here, basically New York through Pennsylvania, all the way down through Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, down to Louisiana and Texas. And this is pretty much continuous. These are thunderstorms starting here in New York, almost a continuous line all the way down to the south here, and then a few breaks in them as you get down into Texas here. And then a few other storms. These are thunderstorms down here that have formed there, and then some isolated storms here in parts of Florida, Alabama, Georgia. Yeah. So this is a real warm, humid, moist air mass in here. So yeah, that's why we're getting all this thunderstorm. So this is like this is the early spring storm. This is something you probably more expect later in March or even into April or May, but we're getting it early March. So otherwise, there was some snow out in this part of the country. You can still see some. It looked like the heaviest snow was out in parts of Colorado and Wyoming and a little bit in Nebraska. Um, but looks like it's melting. There's a little bit up here in the Minnesota, a thin little swath here. So, and then there's snow that's been up there probably for weeks and weeks up there in the North Dakota and northern Minnesota. Okay, so that's it for satellite. Looking on our surface observations, we got some cloudy conditions at Seattle and Portland, but fairly warm. 52 Seattle, 60 in Portland, 60s all the way in here. Mainly 50s and 60s across Nevada. Vegas is at 66, 47 in Salt Lake, up into the northern Rockies. Pretty warm. I mean, 40s and 50s, not that bad really. Looks like some windy conditions up in Montana, gusting up, I don't know, 40 it looks like. 30 to 40 miles an hour, maybe higher in places. They're up in, boy, up here. This is what we call the Chinooks, so it comes off the mountains and really warms it up. So it's like 68 there at Havre City, Montana, and in Glasgow, I believe that's 62. So yeah, it's warm. Even warm in the Dakotas. I mean, even behind this front where it went through yesterday, it's, you know, in the 30s and 40s, and then 50s down into this area. A little bit cooler in Kansas City, 48 there. So, but they've had some cloud cover out here. This area is cleared up, so it's warming up with that increasing solar insolation we're getting this time of year. Really warm across the southwest in the 70s down there. Um, so we'll start focusing on all this back here. So we've got this front rolling through New York. Some showers. It looks like these are thunderstorms as you head up near Rochester and down towards what is this called? Bradford, Pennsylvania. So they're getting some thunderstorms. There's a risk of severe. There's a little bit of a tornado potential out with this stuff out in this area. But the best threat will be for you know, damaging winds, especially the way this is all lined up into lines. These are what we call like a QLCS type system, or a squall line. Yeah, we kind of use those interchangeably sometimes, but yeah, so a lot of thunderstorms, probably going to get some strong winds in places, maybe a brief tornado spin up along these lines. They're usually the, F0 to F2 type variety in those type of lines, but definitely damaging and can cause death and destruction. So, but yeah, that runs down through Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, all the way down into Mississippi, parts of northwest Alabama, and then you can see down here in Louisiana and Texas, it starts getting a little more scattered to isolated, a little more separation. So, and so, but all this is going to have a severe threat with them. So, um, there's a bigger health threat get back here in Texas with some of these storms. So, yeah, so that's what's going on. But very humid. I mean, the dew points are in the 70s, and back here in Louisiana and South Texas, 60s as you go up into Mississippi and back here. So very warm, humid air mass is getting up into the 70s and 80s, all through the 80s here in Louisiana here for the most part. Yeah, even 80s up into Columbia. Yeah, up near Greenville, South Carolina. So very warm air mass. Florida's got a few thunderstorms. Looks like it's in the mostly in the 80s down there. So very warm. It's almost summer-like for early March. So yeah, even up here it's a little cool. It's in the 30s in Maine, but it's a lot warmer than it has been. I mean, look at this back in 60s in Syracuse. So that's melting. All that snow they've had on the ground for weeks and weeks. They're probably the warmest temperatures they've had in, I don't know, the whole since winter started. I don't, I don't know, but it's definitely hasn't been warm like that in a while. All right, so that's what's going on with the observations. So the big story really for today and a little bit for the next couple days is thunderstorms. So, and we'll show you the models here. Um, Let me just show you this is our upper level. Let me see if this is updated all the way for, it's not going out far enough, so we'll just do this. So this is our 500 millibar chart up at 18,000 feet. This will tell you what's driving all the weather systems. So this is basically right now. Actually, let's move forward. This is closer. We're kind of in between time frames. So, oops. So we got this upper low here, but you can see on satellite, it's it's dry down there in the southwest in that part of the world. So there's not a whole lot of weather with it, a little bit of high cloud and stuff, but um, yeah, so but once this pushes east, it'll pick up moisture and start causing some issues across the south and middle part of the country later in the week. So and then we've got this. This is that wave we saw up there to the north, bringing in some clouds, but not much weather with it. Then we got this wave, which is kind of supporting all this thunderstorm activity out through here. Um, so yeah, so that's what's going on there. So we'll kind of press forward. So this is on Sunday. So this is that little wave moving across. We're kind of looking at a north. The jet's pretty far north. This is almost like what it would look like in the summertime. Really unusual for the jet to be this far north in March, but here we are. And that's why it's so warm across most of the United States. So yeah, this little wave goes across. Probably not going to get much precip out of this one. Um, and this is supporting that frontal system, which will be out in this area tomorrow on Sunday. And then this one will spin down here for a couple days and stay dry until it gets kicked out later in the week, next week. So let's go towards Monday. You can see this thing's starting to kick into, move towards Mexico and the Baja California. A couple little disturbances down here, and we'll see some thunderstorms out here even on Monday in parts of the south, and that's because you got these little disturbances. And that cold front pretty much washes out through, somewhere down here across the south and southeast. So you're still gonna have a lot of warm, humid air mass back in here. So any kind of disturbance will kick off thunderstorms. Still got that west-east zonal pattern. So all the storms up north are just gonna kind of move pretty quickly across and mostly stay into Canada. I mean, where most of the energy is, or at least near the border. So, and Tuesday we see a little dip, so this probably will bring some precip out in this part of the country Monday and Tuesday across the northern Rockies and Pacific Northwest. Still see some little weak disturbances across the south here, so thunderstorms will still be going on as we head in the day on Tuesday, but it looks like the ridge builds in, so that may start suppressing the activity on the day on Tuesday. So that was through Tuesday morning, but it may start to kind of dry out here as we get later into the day on Tuesday. But then you see this, this is that low out here. So Tuesday is kicking out into the southwest, and it'll start picking up moisture Tuesday and Wednesday. And then you'll have another system with showers and thunderstorms going across, Texas and Oklahoma and the Central Plains. And then that little system that was out here starts to um, intensify a little bit in the northern plains. So these two will kind of combine here as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. And yeah, you can kind of see that it's kind of deepening, strengthening. We call it deepening in meteorological terms. So yeah, so this is Wednesday night, and as you go into Thursday, that thing's starting to move. Almost, there's still going to be some weather up in this part, maybe along the East Coast, but it's going to be kicking out of here by late Thursday into Friday at the end of the week, and then we still kind of have the same type of pattern. Um, some weak little disturbances like out here, but we'll see if that's going to cause much weather. And then we got another little wave coming out of Canada at the end of the week into the Great Lakes. So we'll see what that develops, and that's as far as I'm going to go. So let's go to our surface map here and see what the models are predicting for us. So we'll go back to today. So yeah, back here, not much to say. A little bit of lingering, a little bit of spotty showers, but nothing too big out. It's mainly over the Pacific Northwest and over the higher terrain of Montana and Idaho there. But here's our big story maker. So here's that front. Whoops. Okay. Whoops. Double click. So here's our front, kind of, in this general area. And you got kind of this is that wraparound precip. It looks like the snow's pretty much ending for the U.S. and it's moved up into Canada now. So this is basically where our showers and thunderstorms are going to be as we move through tonight. So there's going to be a severe threat through tonight. As we head into tomorrow, you can kind of see the northern portion pushes out over the Atlantic. And we still have some leftover activity from the mid-Atlantic down through the south. There's still a threat, kind of a marginal threat. It's not going to be a big threat of severe, but maybe a few storms may have some severe in it. Let's see, where's I'll show you that in a little bit. This is today's severe threat, so yeah, you can see pretty much all along that line there's a threat. Let's go back here to day 2. Yeah, day 2. Yeah, so marginal threat up in like North Carolina, this general area. The rest of it will just be regular thunderstorms for the most part. But I always say with any kind of thunderstorm, even though they may not be painting it out, there could be severe. Just you could get one isolated cell that decides to misbehave, as they used to say in Louisiana. And so, yeah, so this is where it's going to be tomorrow. Otherwise, yeah, this is that wave we saw, but it's staying up in Canada. Really not any weather to speak of for the U.S. For now, anyways, through Sunday. And then we got a little bit of rain up in the Pacific Northwest. So as we go into Monday, so this front, you can kind of see it washes out. Might have some weak features down here, but most of the activity now is moving out to sea by Monday morning. And then you can see this system stays up into Canada. You're starting to see that system we saw developing out here. Looks like some mountain snows, maybe a little bit of snow up into Montana. You do have a little front that comes down Sunday into the North Dakota. Kind of just stays up here though. With the way that jet's oriented, it's not going to press too far south. So, but they'll see a chance of a little bit of snow up across there. So that's for Monday. Yeah, and you can see here, you see it there. Yeah, this area where we saw those waves going across, this will be a threat of some thunderstorms, you know, in this general area, Arklatex, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. So lots, most of the South. And then some lingering stuff out in the near the coast of the Carolinas. And then you start seeing the effects of this one. It's picking up moisture, so you might start seeing some showers, maybe even thunder out there in Arizona. Haven't looked at the local forecast out there, but yeah. So, and even into New Mexico. So this thing will start getting active. We can see a little spotty snow breaking out up here, but nothing too big to write home about. So as we head into the day on Tuesday, yeah, you see the low pressure forms here and near, southeast Colorado, northern part of New Mexico, and you're seeing a lot of rain activity. This will be thunderstorms developing out in here. There'll still be some lingering thunderstorms out here on Tuesday across the southeast, and we kind of see a front developing, a warm front up back up here into, Kansas, Missouri, into Illinois. So something to watch there. That's gonna be a sign of things to come. And here we go. See that? So there we go. We got that low pressure. It moves right up into Iowa there by Tuesday night, and you're gonna see thunderstorms again. I think SPC has another. They're pretty confident there'll be severe weather, severe thunderstorms again, probably in this general area, and then some, rain, and this might even be thunder back in here a little bit, and then a swath of snow from Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, down to this area, South Dakota, Nebraska, and parts of Wyoming. So another plains storm developing by, Tuesday, and so yeah, so like yeah, that springtime severe pattern is kind of with us for a little bit into next week, it looks like. And then a little bit of rain up in the Pacific Northwest. So, okay, we'll go on to Wednesday. Yeah, you see how well developed this low is getting? I mean, now it's up into what, Michigan or so, right around that area on Wednesday evening. And now you got a lot of, a nice swath of snow even back towards Chicago. It looks like they'll get in on some snow action. And this will be showers, thunderstorms, and a threat of severe, probably all the way from at least maybe southern Michigan or Ohio, Indiana, all the way south here to Louisiana, maybe East Texas here as it develops. So as we go through, I mean, look at that. Yeah, nice. Brings in some really cold air behind it. We saw that dip in the jet there when we were looking at the other chart, the 500. So some snow coming down back behind this system. So that's something we're gonna have to keep an eye on, see how much snow we get out of this. Almost we're almost going to be into mid-March with this, and then that kind of marches into the Northeast as we head into Thursday afternoon through the day, and then yeah, the warm part just kind of goes out into the Atlantic, so the thunderstorm threat will pretty much end. It looks like, according to this model, by Thursday morning. And then that thing kind of goes bye-bye on Friday. Maybe some lingering, snow up here, but on Friday morning. But yeah, then we have this next little wave here. It's mostly going to be in Canada, but it'll kind of skirt the northern U.S. with some rain and snow. So we'll have to watch that. Otherwise, yeah, a little bit, these really south. It's not going to get into Utah or Nevada much, or Colorado even for that. This one might, the one on, but we haven't even gone that far, so that's like a week out. I'm not 8 days out. I'm not going to talk about that. So yeah, so The west will be pretty quiet except for the northern Rockies. Some snow up in here as we there, looked like on Thursday. And then there was that chance on Tuesday, lingering into Wednesday a little bit. But yeah, yeah, a little bit on Friday up there. So yeah, so that's what's going on. So another big system will develop out in the plains, it looks like, and even the European models kind of grabbing onto that. So pretty fair confidence. We'll have to see where exactly the snow develops and where the severe thunderstorms develop. But we're gonna have a classic springtime um, winter, storm system moving across the eastern half of the U.S. That's all I've got to say for today. This is Wixman Ray out.